Hi, hello. So here's the thing. I didn't initially plan on doing another ship episode right after the last one. Like I didn't plan on doing another ship rating. I was gonna do a different rating, which I am leaving as a surprise because Dami got a hold of the idea and is going ham with it. So I'm hoping that she will get her end ready so we can do it for the next episode that comes out, because we are not doing Homestuck until January just because the holidays and everything. But Dami's already started on this one, so I'm hoping we're able to record and have it in 2 weeks. But so this is another. I forgot to say hi, welcome to Live Last Stuck. I forgot to fucking open it because I'm so just like, hey, so this my I feel like a hack doing these back to back. But the first one did do pretty well. Hi, this is Live Laugh Stuck. This is Jax from Live Laugh Stuck. It's so funny. I go by Jackie more than Jax. So Jax is just like so much easier to say for like internet stuff. But anyway, so we're doing another ship rating. I went down the next 100, not the next 150, because I am doing this pretty late. Because again, I thought I had another thing I was going to do that didn't require as much time as making another 100 assets. So, with that said, I am doing the next 150 or 100 ships after the first 150. So this is from 151 to 250 minus. I had to subtract the two that we added to the previous one, which was Jane Terezi and Rose Dirk. Those both were in this section originally, but I took those out. And then also there was Black Queen slash Jack Noir. And I'm sorry, that is just the same ship as Spade, Slick, and Snowman. And I'm not including those. I'm just not. But it's still 100 different ships. And yeah, let's get into it. We have Aradia and Karkat. Some of these I was streaming while I was making some of these, and I had kind of just said on stream that some of these I feel are just from fics that are either doing some sort of everyone slash everyone or a specific character slash everyone, or from fics that are just making like putting every character together. I guess there is some Aradia Karkat, and I'm so sorry. There's some stuff that I edited when I was editing last time. I did go, oh, I actually see the potential of this that I didn't see whenever I was first recording. So maybe I'll get some of that. Like maybe I'll later realize what the appeal of Aradia slash Karkat is. But as it is now, I don't get it, so I'm putting it in D. Gamzee Vriska. I kind of get it, and I don't want to hate it. I don't know, but I think it could be done in an interesting way, but as it is, this is a D. I am interested to see how many S tiers I get, because again, this is we're getting down to like ships that have like 30 works in them. And while some of them surprise me that I thought there would be more, there are a lot of these that I'm like, I don't know how many S or A tiers I'm gonna have on this, because I just don't really think about them. Like Solix Nepeta, which I might raise some of these from a D, because I feel like D is kind of a negative meh. So maybe we'll put those in. I don't know. I'll switch Aradia and Karkat, and then Gamzee and Vriska is going in D. And I'll explain everything, and I'll do the whole thing at the end when I move stuff around. But right now we have in C Aradia Karkat and in D Gamzee Vriska, and we are doing Solix and Nepeta, which I think is just another I don't get it C. We have Grand Highblood and Summoner, which is peanut butter jelly time C. Jade and Tavros, I do think is kind of funny conceptually, but also I don't really like it as a ship, so that's getting C. Porum and Zamara is fine. That's getting a C. Rose and Aradia, I think that one could be interesting. I think that one could be interesting with her sort of like morbid general demeanor. Yeah, I'm gonna put that one in B. Rose and Fairy, I think that has the potential, but I don't really care about it, so I'm putting that in C. Aridin and Jade, no, I don't really, I think that's a D. Aridin and John, I think that's also a D. Dad, Egbert, and John, it's a classic, you know? John Loves His Daddy is a classic. And I've actually done, like, there's a roleplay posted out there that this is one I'm not gonna link in the thing because it is very not safe for work. And, you know, I'm fine talking not safe for work topics, but I also just don't want to link it in my podcast notes all the time. But I did do a role play where with John and Dad. I mean, that wasn't the main ship, it just happened. But also, like, I also just don't care about it a whole lot. But it is a classic. I think that's going to be C for classic. Aridin and Tavros. I think I'm just picky with my Aridin ships. I just don't think I have a lot of, like, Aridin ships I care about. And the ones that are neat, I think are really neat. But then, like, Aridin Tavros, it's like, that's nothing. I think that's going to be a D too. A D as well. There is no D2 tier. Kanaya and Aradia. I don't know. Like, I guess... I think, you know, because obviously I didn't include poly ships in this. You know, that's another explainer from last time, is I'm not doing poly ships. I'm only doing canon Homestuck, like the OG. I'm not doing any beyond canon, or I'm not taking Pester Quest into account. I'm not doing Hive Swap. But with the poly ships, I think it'd be interesting throwing Vriska in here. I think Vriska is kind of their uniting factor. And I don't know how much I care about them without taking Vriska into account. I think that's a C. Nepeta and Aradia. I think that'd be cute, but I don't know. Again, I hate for this to be, like, kind of boring because it's like, I don't know, I don't get it. C. But I think this is the I don't get it C. Porum and Latula, I think could be funny to be explored with Porum's, like, feminist stereotype, like internet feminist stereotype, versus Latula's, like, cool girl internet stereotype. And yeah, I think that's a... I feel like I'm stretching trying to put things in B, but I'm gonna put that in B for now because I think that has some potential. Oh, Vriska and Equius, I can't believe it's so low. Neighbors is classic. Neighbors is S tier. I love Neighbors. Like, okay, so I am one of those who cherry picks what I decide whether what Hussey said is, like, canon or not, because I don't know. I feel like that's what you gotta do for Hussey, because Hussey says some fucking terrible shit, especially, like, in the olden times and the Form Spring times. But this is one where Hussey says that Vriska has a crush on Equius, partially because is, like, you look at Equius and you look at, like, because, like, Vriska, it gets really, like, hard eyes over Nick Cage from Con Air, and Hussey compared the way Equius looks to the way Nick Cage and Con Air looks, and then how Equius just kind of doesn't care about Vriska, and Vriska kind of latches on to people who don't give a shit about her, like really wants attention from people who don't care about her, and then when people give her a lot of attention, she doesn't care as much, is kind of one of her shticks. And Equius just not giving us... I don't know. I really like Neighbors. There's a lot of things I don't know if there's a lot of things I could say about Neighbors. That might be exaggerating. Yeah, so Neighbors is S tier. I love Neighbors. Brobot Jake, I feel is pretty classic as well. I'll give it a B. I think it can be interesting. Hal Jake, I am really not as into. I think this is probably the worst version of Dark Jake, so I'm putting that in D. Dave, I love. Dave is actually going into A tier. I mean, I like kind of time shenanigans self-cess stuff. I just think it's neat. Kanaya Dave, no, I think that's a D. I'm not really into that. Roxy Dave is one of those I was surprised wasn't in the top 150 because like that has canon backing. Like Dave calls Roxy hot before he realizes that it's Roxy and goes on this whole tirade about how Esperb is set up to make accidental incest between kids happen, which is freaking like it's a funny little bit, and it's because that he calls Roxy hot at one point, and so it not being in the top 150 is interesting to me. I'm honestly I'm gonna put in this in I think A tier, maybe S tier later whenever I look at it again, but right now it's A tier. Solix Rose, I think could maybe be done in an interesting way, but for now I think it's C tier. Dave Sprite Carcat, I like. I think it could be good. Like it's weird because I think because Dave Sprite comes from the timeline before they got really to know each other, and then they like Dave Sprite and Carcat just don't get to know each other at all. Really, I don't know. It could be neat. I'm putting it in B tier. Tavros and Carcat. I don't know. Carcat doesn't really care about Tavros. Tavros doesn't really try to reach out to Carcat much at all. Like one of their few conversations is when Tavros is texting Carcat after Vriska, you know, basically throws him off a cliff. And Carcat is very unsympathetic and goes into that's games for girls, and then people try to retcon it. I think even Hussey tries to retcon it to be like, oh, that's because it's dangerous and not because Carcat was being misogynistic, because this was before we figured out how troll society worked and blah 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 blah. So I think that's going in D tier. I don't really care about it. Nepeta Tavros, I think could have potential. Yeah, I'll put that in C tier. I think they could get along. Dave Sprite Dave, I think could be really good. I think there's a lot of like shared Dave trauma that could get figured out between the two of them. I am gonna put that in A tier. Condes Handmaid, I think is really good. It's one of the few where we actually get to see a little bit more of them interacting, and like the only ancestors we really get to see interact outside of Mindfang's journal. I think, but that's still being told from, I think, is Doc Scratch the one saying it, or is it Calliope talking about it at that point? I don't know. One of the exposition dump characters is the one who talks about it, so we don't actually see it, but it's still not Mindfang's journal. I think that is a B. Maybe I'll bump it up to A, but B for now. Cronus Damara, I don't think that's anything. That's a D. Cronus Roxy, I don't know. At first I was like, why is this here? And then I'm like, you know what? Maybe there is something there. Maybe there is something there, I'm putting it in C tier. Mina Kankri, I think is neat. I'm putting that in B tier. I don't have any other thoughts. I just think it's neat. Nepeta Kanaya, I don't know. Like, I don't think that they would I don't think they dislike each other or anything. I think they could be friends. I just don't know if they have like enough in common for a good ship. I think that's C tier. Nepeta Vriska. I'm not really into. Oh, I don't know. I think it's funny that Nepeta like super doesn't want to roleplay with Vriska because Vriska is too like violent and stuff about it. But and at first I was leaning D tier, but the more I think about it, how like Vriska did want to roleplay with Nepeta, and it was just like really not reading the room or not caring about reading the room. I can like Vriska is definitely one of those people you'd roleplay with who like takes over the whole thing and takes it in a direction you extremely did not want. And I think maybe if Terezi was in the mix to kind of help mediate and bring it on a sort of direction that is in between what Nepeta and what Vriska wants, because Terezi also goes a bit more than what Nepeta wants sometimes. And I don't know. I think it's C tier at the very least. Condis and Dual Scar. I kind of like it in an even more like friend zone Feferi Eridan, where it's not even friend zone because like she doesn't probably even realize that he exists, but I do kind of like that, so I'll put it in B tier. Just like this concept that he could be cold for wanting to get with the Condis, and that's so like out of his lane, even as even as a sea dweller, that's so out of his lane that I don't know, having a crush on someone that you could literally die for having that crush, I think is extremely funny. Eridan, Terezi, I don't know. I don't this is one of those that I just feel they were putting all the Alternian kids together. No, I think that's D tier. Caliborn Calliope is a classic. I love how there's just like a lot of arguments about how like is this incest? Is it self-cest? They didn't really have a concept of incest until they started talking to the human kids and learning more about like human culture and stuff, which like learning about human culture as is like a huge thing to discuss when talking about Caliborn and Calliope and how they end up developing as characters. And like would they have considered each other brother and sister before talking to humans? Like if they were raised as cherubs are usually raised, which is not being raised, I guess. I don't know. I think it is interesting. I'm not the hugest shipper, but I think just because there's a lot of interesting discussions that can be had around it by like what is it even? Like is it again, is it self-cest? Is it incest? Is it neither of those things? Is it something we have no concept of because we don't have a concept of these types of people? I think that's B tier just because it's kind of interesting like that. Bro Rose is another I really like in the same vein. No, sort of in the same vein as Dirk Rose, but I feel like I'd have to get way too in the weeds to try to explain the differences, and then I'd end up contradicting myself anyway. I do really like Bro Rose. That's an S tier for me. I just think there's a lot of interesting things that can be done with Bro Rose, and yeah, Cronus Bro. I don't really get. I I don't know. Like I've seen some Cronus Dirk, which I might have rated in the last one, but I don't really get Cronus Bro. I think that's going to be a D tier. Alpha Dave Carcat is fine. I don't know. C tier. Cronus Mina, I think is funny, and that's a B tier for me. I think it's funny. Dolorosa, Dual Scar, I'm not super into. I don't know. No, I mean just like there's a lot of stuff that I usually like based on, that like, things being taboo or having bad power dynamics or having like canon abuse or anything like that usually doesn't like completely throw me off of ships, but something about it coming from Mindfang's journal and something about the way it's framed and something about that whole thing, I think a lot of it was like way too realistic compared to a lot of the bad power dynamics in Homestuck. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing about ships are fiction, blah 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 blah. But I do think it's the same kind of concept of like villains that are more realistic tend to get more shit than villains who are very unrealistic. And like, sure, technically villains may do like people may do stuff like that in real life, but like not to bring up Harry Potter, but that's like the most that's the one that the most people can recognize is like yes, Voldemort is the most evil character in that book series because he is literally like murdering so many people. He is attempting to do a genocide. He is introducing fascism into the wizarding world, but so many more people have such a deep hatred of Umbridge because most of us have had abusive teachers, abusive authority figures. It is a much more realistic depiction of abuse that more people can connect to. Like, sure, it was Mindfang that really did all that shit to Dolorosa, but it was such a messy inner thing, and it was Dual Scar that actually killed Dolorosa, and I don't know. I'm doing a lot of explaining to justify why I don't like this extremely toxic ship to compare to a lot of the other toxic ships I like. I guess because I'm trying to work it out, like why this one in particular, like why this one, why Dolorosa Mindfang, and why stuff like that really gets me compared to all the other toxic relationships and fics and stuff that I like. And so I'm gonna put this one in F tier. Mulin Damara, I don't get. I just don't think I get enough of them as individual characters, much less enough of them together. In Damara, I think maybe if we got more of Damara before Mina fucked her up, I would have more interest in ships with her. But I don't know. I think that's a D. I don't get it. Parentheses negative. Solix Tavros, I can't imagine this. I think that's D. Hal Equius is this one. I feel like is way more popular, and I'm kind of surprised it wasn't in the top 150. But I just might be in my little Strider bubble, and even then, I don't see it a whole lot in there. But I just feel like it's like, oh yeah, Hal and Equius, that one makes a whole lot of sense. So I think this one, just because it makes a lot of sense, doesn't mean I necessarily am the hugest fan of it. I think it's B tier for me. And then Rose Mom, that's another one that I thought was way more popular than it was, or than it appears to be on AO3. Which again, AO3 isn't like the end all be all of what ships are actually popular, because there's a lot of ships that you see more in art than you do in fics, and I think it's a way to tell when something is popular, but it's just not hands down the way, even within fandoms that are more internet. Like obviously people have talked about how, well, you can't say The Godfather is bad just because it doesn't have a lot of fics on AO3. Like you can't use how many fics on AO3 as to whether a piece of art is good or not. But like even within fandom spaces that do have a lot of fics on AO3, it's not like the end all be all. And that's maybe just copium, as maybe the kids say. I don't know. Wolfie VGC says it, and I maybe some other YouTubers say it, but maybe it's my copium, I'm going to say, as I still only put it in B tier. It's fine. I just don't get why it's not higher on the list. Then we have PM/WV, so Peregrine Mendicant and Wayward Vagabond, aka the Mayor. I think it's cute enough. I think I'll put that in B tier. I think cute enough gets B tier. I think I am being more lenient with some of the Bs just because of there's not as much fuel, but maybe I was just lenient in the other one. I don't know. John and Nepeta. It's fine. I think it could be cute. I think if I read a fic, it would be cute. I just don't think I'm gonna really ship them. I think it's fine. Roxy and Mina, I think would be great. That's definitely a B tier. It could be an A tier. It's definitely a strong B tier. Gamzee and Dirk, no, I don't really like it. D tier. Okay, so here's the thing. Bro and Lil Cal is up next. And I hate Lil Cal, right? But just because I don't like Lil Cal doesn't mean I think that Bro/Lil Cal is a bad ship. I think that the bro fuckers who really get into his relationship with Lil Cal, I think that the Bro Lil Cal shippers are on a level that makes me like, I will say that I'm the greatest Vriska fan in the world. No one likes Vriska more than I do. Or no one understands Vriska more than I do. Like, I get Vriska on a level no one else gets. And that's like, obviously it's still like mostly a joke. It's pretty tongue in cheek. But the reason that I can never claim Dirk or Bro as much as I can claim Vriska is because I do not like Lil Cal. And I think the people who do like Lil Cal, or at least can put some more thought into Lil Cal's relationship with Bro and Dirk, I think that they are on a next level that I am just unable to get to. And I think the Bro Lil Cal shippers are stronger than me. I think they're smarter than me. and I think they write better meta than me. But yeah, Bro and Lil Cal goes in A tier. I honestly might bump that up to S tier, which would be like the only S tier that I don't actually ship, and I don't actually like one of the characters, but is just such an iconic ship, it's gotta go. I don't know. Right now it's an A tier. I might bump it up later. Condis and Karkat, I think, is more interesting fic fodder than interesting as a ship, which has been some of these anyway, but I think that's still gonna land it in C tier. Cronus Karkat, I don't know. I prefer Cronus Cankry to Cronus Karkat, which I know Cankry and Karkat aren't the same character, but a lot of times when like a Dancestor is shipped with an Alternian kid, a lot of it is to mirror kind of the relationship, as a reflection on the relationship between the two Dancestors. And I just don't care about this reflection of it. Like, when you get characters like Mina, it is a lot more like Mina and Karkat isn't a reflection on Mina and Kinkri, because Mina and Karkat actually like talk, right? More than just a few words. But I think Cronus and Karkat is a D tier. Newland and Kinkri, I don't know. I think that's a D tier. I don't like anything. I can't think of anything about that pairing I would like. Matuna and Solix. I don't know. I don't know enough about Matuna. I don't think they would get along. Yeah, I think that's going in D tier. I'm not really a huge fan of that. Fairy and Terezi. I could maybe see it. It's fine. It's going in C tier. Gamzee and Fairy. No, that's D tier. I'm not into that. Roxy and Karkat. So I think, Roxy and Dave are a lot more similar than Dirk and Dave, and Dirk and Rose are a lot more similar than, Rose and Roxy. So Roxy, Karkat, I'm just trying to feel out the Dave vibes within that relationship. But between like, Dave Karkat, Roxy Karkat, and then thinking of Roxy as her own character. If I see anything there, I don't really, I don't, I don't really, like, it's fine. It's a C. It's fine. John and Equius, I don't think so. I don't think I like this one. I think that one's a D. Porum and Kanaya, I think there is some, I don't want to say canon backing to it, not as much as Roxy Dave, but I do think like they actually did interact. There was some reaction of Kanaya meeting Porum, and vice versa, I'm pretty sure. So I think that could be a really interesting relationship. So I'm going to bump that up to A. It might go down to B just because I don't think I care about it a whole lot, but I think that there is a lot you could explore with them as a ship. So yeah, that's going to be A tier. John and Tavros. I don't know. I don't know what. I think John would just end up being mean to Tavros without meaning to be mean. Like, I do kind of like a mean John. I like an older, like, as John gets older, he does get like a little bit more mean, and not like in a malicious way. But I think it would just end up being a bad relationship. So I think that's going to be a D. Hal Dave Sprite. Where did I put? Did I already do Hal Dave? No, maybe I was just thinking about making Hal. Yeah, Hal Dave is coming later. I was just thinking about making it because I just made these right before I started recording. Hal Dave Sprite. I think there's some potential for Hal Dave Sprite because they are like the secondary, like Hal is the secondary Dirk, like, and Dave Sprite is a secondary Dave. Like, there is definitely, I think, Hal's confidence in himself, or at least outwards confidence in himself as his own person, could help Dave Sprite a lot. I think that could be interesting. I'm gonna put that in A. Cronus Fairy. I don't care about it. That's D. Carcat is S tier. I love Carcat. I loved when he's like, oh god, what if I am my own Kismesis? I think that is so good. That is S tier for sure. Gamzee, Kanaya, I think they could be interesting Kismesis, so I'm gonna put that in a C. I don't really care a whole lot about them as Kismesis, but I think it could be interesting. Solix Vriska, I don't know. I just think there'd be nothing there. Like, I don't think Solix cares enough about Vriska, but like not in the way that like it's interesting the way that Equius is. I don't know. I just don't think that there's a whole lot to play off of there. I think that is a D tier. I might have to rearrange these or like rename these or something. Where S is like absolutely great. I love it. A is it's pretty good. It's a good shit. And B is like I don't know. I'll rearrange stuff later. I don't need to think about it now. Damara and Mina is B tier for sure. There's stuff there. Aridin and Dual Scar. It's fine. It's C tier. I kind of like it just for more like this is one of those ships that they're just making because people will just make every incest ship, and that's definitely one of those. But also like kind of in the same way that Arid and Cronus is funny because it's like of course they would both get together and like that's all they got going for them. I think that works as a ship. Jake and Brain Ghost Dirk. This is specifically Brain Ghost Dirk, which I made a whole new color for. It is a greenish orange because I just mixed together, kind of like the same thing I did for Dad Egbert, where I mixed together Jane and John's colors. I mixed together Dirk and Jake's colors to get this kind of gross green for Brain Ghost Dirk. And I think that's at least an A tier. I think this is the best version of Dirk Jake. Either the best version of Dirk Jake is yeah, no it is. I think that the second would be Brobach Jake, which I have in B tier, but I think Jake Brain Ghost Dirk is a pretty good ship. It's kind of like how if you watch Doctor Who, how Rose Tyler and the Doctor were a pretty big ship. Personally, I wasn't into it, but that's partially because I was watching the first time with someone who didn't like it, and so like he had commentary every time they came on and were a thing. But you know how like Rose gets her own personal version of the Doctor, and the Doctor like the actual like Time Lord Doctor that's still there like moves on and like does other shit. I think Brain Ghost Dirk is that version. Like that is Jake's own personal version of Dirk, and Dirk can go off and still do his own thing. Again, I'm still kind of into like aromantic Jake, but I think like I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think I could have more thoughts about it, but I think I do like my comparison of Rose and the offshoot Doctor with Jake and the offshoot Brain Ghost Dirk. It's just even more funny because it's like born out of his own head and hope powers. Hal John. I mean, I like John Dirk. I just don't know if I like Hal John. I think it could be interesting, so I'll put it in C tier. Poor Amina is neat. It's B tier. I don't have anything else to say. I don't have deep thoughts. I think it's neat. Roxy Nepeta is Cat Girls, and it goes into B tier. Jake and Carcat are movie bros, and I would love to see them interact, so that's going into B tier. Bro and Carcat. I said this on stream, and I feel like Bro Carcat fics are primarily like I don't have like data to back this up. I didn't look into it, but I just feel it's like those ships where Dave gets cucked. I think that's what what a lot of these works are, and I'm sorry if you're like an actual like bro Karkat shipper. Really, I'm sorry if if you like any of these ships that I like, especially put in like D and F, or otherwise said that I don't really get. You do your thing. It doesn't have to be my thing. So I don't know, bro Karkat. I think he gets a D. Honestly, I'm not into it. Dave Equius. I don't like them. I don't think they'd be like a long-term ship, but I do like them as like that little interaction they have, like where the ship definitely comes from. I think that's a C tier. Cronus Horus, I think might be interesting. I think it would be funny if like, because like one of the things is Rufio wants to break up with Horus, but Horus keeps saying all this shit that keeps like that would just be like, oh, this would be a terrible time to break up with you, right? Like this would just be the worst time, and so Rufio ends up not doing it. I think if Horus turned that attention to Cronus, I think that would be interesting, but I think it's only interesting enough to go into C tier. Roxy Gamzee, I think could be interesting, so I'll put that in C tier. Cronus Arania, I think could be interesting. I'll put that in C tier. Alpha Dave, I think that's like worse Dave. So that's going in B tier. I almost said B tier. Jade Dirk, I think could be fun. I was saying this on stream, but I read a Jade Bro. It was like Jade Bro and Jade Hal fic that I liked. It was like a no Esper AU where Jade was like a college student and hacked into bro shit. But anyway, Jade Dirk I think has some stuff there. There's this one Dirk Bro fic, this Dirk Hanahaki fic, where there's one conversation between, like one text message conversation between Dirk and Jade, where Dirk starts out with a hi, how are you? And Jade's like, okay, you did the like appropriate amount of like normal human socializing. What do you want? Like type shit. Like not in a mean way, the way I kind of phrase that, but I think of that conversation all the time where Jade like understands how Dirk kind of functions like that and like is like, okay, I get this is how you are. You have something you want, and now you can leave, and that's fine. That is socially acceptable. I don't care. And I just because of that, I am putting it into B tier because I think that has some potential. I really like that exploration of them. Condis Roxy, I think is fun. I think that's B tier. Disciple and Psionic, I think is just, the other part of the poly arrangement with the signless. And I think that puts it in B tier. I think that's neat. Dave Sprite Rose is basically canon because Dave Sprite comes from the Doom timeline that, as he said, like something happened between Dave and Rose, and this was before they realized they were related. And in a very like Luke and Leia moment. And I think because Rose gets a lot of her memories from the Doom timeline Rose, and I think that has a lot of potential in the same way I think Roxy and John has potential as being the only survivors of the original timeline before the retcon. So that is going into S tier. I'm pretty sure I put like OG Dave and Rose into S tier, and I think this has even more nuance than that. So that's S tier. We have Crowbar Die. I don't get it. I like Crowbar. I don't really care about Die. I don't get why they're a thing. That's D tier. I don't get it. Roxy and Kanaya. I don't know. I don't really care about it. I think that's D tier. Terezi and Kankri, again, I just feel are reflections of Terezi, Karkat, and then Latula Kankri, which I think Latula Kankri is just a reflection of Terezi Karkat. Which like there is some more stuff in there for that, and I think I rated it pretty highly in the last one, but I don't really care about it. I think it's D tier. Jane Rose. I don't really care about it. I think it's D tier. Roxy Latula, I think is fun. I think that's C tier. Hal Dave, I think could be interesting. I think that's B tier. Yeah, I think that I'll put that in B tier. Mule and Nepeta, I think could be fun. I'll put that in B tier. Roxy Terezi. Honestly, Roxy Terezi is B tier. I could get with that. Solix and Jade. Yeah, Solix and Jade's B tier. I think there could be some stuff there. I think it'd be interesting. Kind of like in a similar way to I like Carcat Jade. I think I like it less than Carcat Jade, but I think there could be some interesting stuff there in ways similar and different to Carcat Jade. Curlo's Rufio, I don't get. That's D tier. Solix Kanaya. No, I don't really get it. I don't know. I think that's D tier. Bro, Dave Sprite is a classic. Oh my gosh. Is that S tier or A tier? I will put it in A tier for now. Condis, Grand High Blood. I think that's B tier. Dark Lear, Grand High Blood. There's like only one image of Dark Lear. I had to get him at his fucking desk and just like crop out most of the desk. It's fucking terrible. I wish there were better images of the ancestors. But Dark Lear and Grand High Blood, I don't get. That's a D tier. Grand High Blood and oh my gosh, I almost said Latula. Red Glare. I don't know. I think that's D tier. Grand High Blood and Carcat is D tier. Grand High Blood and Tavros. Grand High Blood Tavros is D tier. Grand High Blood, Dual Scar, I think gets into. I think that gets into B tier. Because wasn't it like Dual Scar, like Grand High Blood killed Dual Scar because he like Dual Scar told a joke that wasn't actually funny or some shit? I think that's good. And Grand High Blood Gamzee, I'll put it in C tier for clowns. So now is where the rearranging comes in. And so we have S tier of like, I super like this. This is like peak. A tier is like, yeah, I really like this. It's just like not quite peak. B tier is like, this is interesting, parentheses, fun. I feel like I need another row because I feel like this is interesting, parentheses, fun, and this is interesting. Well, maybe not interesting, parentheses, fun, but interesting, like that's like just a little bit more positive. And then there's interesting, that's just like I'm into just a smidge less. And then C tier, I don't care about, and D tier, I don't care about negative. I do think I'm gonna add another row. So let's go through it. For S tier, I have Vriska, Equius, Bro Rose, Carcat Carcat, Dave Sprite Rose. That's all good. A tier, Dave, Roxy Dave Sprite Dave. I feel like I gotta put Bro Cal in S tier, even though I don't like it. I just feel like it belongs in S tier for like all the potential it has. Porum, yeah, or Kanaya Porum, Hal, Dave Sprite, Jake, Braingo Sturk, Bro, Dave Sprite. Bro, Dave Sprite's S tier as well. B tier, we have Rose and Aradia. That's going down to B minus, C plus. Porum, Latula can stay. Brobot, Jake. Should that stay or should that go up to A? I think that's going to go up to A. Dave Sprite Carcat. I think that's B minus, C plus. Candace Handmaid. Mina Kankri. Yeah, Mina Kankri goes to B minus, C plus. Candace Dual Scar. Caliborn, Calliope. I think just for the meta alone, Caliborn, Calliope goes up to A. Cronus, Mina. Hal, Equius. I just like Hal Equius as Halquius more than I like them as a ship. Rose, Mom. Stays in B. PMWV. Roxy, Mina. I think Roxy, Mina. Nah, that stays. Tamara, Mina. Porum, Mina. I think Porum, Mina goes down to B minus, C plus. Roxy, Nepeta. Jake, Carcat. I think that goes down to B minus, C plus. I think that could be better, but I think that's just where it's going to be. I don't know. I feel like this is one that I will switch between, that I could switch between B and then B minus, C plus a lot, but I think right now I'm going with B minus, C plus. Alpha Dave is B. Jade, Dirk. Condis, Roxy. Disciple, Psionic. Hal, Dave. Mula, Nepeta. Roxy, Terezi. I think Solix, Jade goes into B minus, C plus. Condis, Grand High Blood goes... No, I'll keep it there. And then Grand High Blood and Dual Scar stays in B. C tier, Iradia Carcat, Solix Nepeta, Grand High Blood Summoner, Jade Tavros. No, Jade Tavros going down to D. Porum, Damara. That's going down to D. Rose Safari. We'll put Dad John in B minus, C plus. Kanaya Iradia, I think goes into B minus, C plus. Nepeta Iradia goes to B minus, C plus. Solix Rose stays. Nepeta Tavros stays. Cronus Roxy. No, I think that goes up to B minus, C plus. Nepeta Kanaya. Nepeta Vriska. Yeah, that goes up. That goes up to B minus, C plus. I think if I have like more thoughts than they're fine, it goes up. Alpha Dave, Carcat, John, Nepeta, Condis Carcat, Teferi, Terezi, Roxy Carcat, Gamzee, Kanaya. Does Gamzee Kanaya stay in C? Yeah, Aridin, Dual Scar can go to B minus, C plus. Hal John will go to B minus, C plus. Dave Equius will go up there too. Cronus Horus. I know I have more thoughts about those, but I think that still stays in C tier. Roxy Gamzee. Cronus Arania. I think that stays in C. Roxy Latula goes to B minus, C plus. And Grand High Blood Gamzee stays in C for Clown. Then we have the D tier. I don't think a lot of these are going to move. Gamzee Vriska, Aridin Jade, Aridin John, Aridin Tavros. Hal Jake, I think will go up to C tier. Kanaya Dave. You know what? That's actually fine. They'll go to C tier. Tavros, Carcat. Does that go up? No, that stays. Cronus Damara. Aridin Terezi. Cronus Dirk. Or not Cronus Dirk. Cronus Bro. Does that stay here? Yeah, that stays in D tier. Mulin Damara. Solix Tavros, Gamzee Dirk, Cronus Karkat. I mean, they do actually, like, talk off screen, technically, maybe. But talking might be a strong word. I think I'll put that in C tier. I think that's up in C tier. If I think I'm debating that much, I think I'll put it in C tier. Mulan Kankri, Matuna, Solix. Yeah, that stays in D tier. Gamzee Feferi, John Equius. I'll put John Equius in C tier. I think that could be, I don't know, maybe something. John Tavros, Cronus Feferi, Solix Frisca. Well, some of these are, like, fine that I don't super care about and not, like, absolutely, like, negative, I think. Cronus Feferi. No, that's still D tier. Solix and Solix Frisca, I'll put up in C tier. Bro Karkat. Yeah, that stays. Crowbar, Die. Roxy, Kanaya, I'll put in C tier. Terezi, Kinkri. I just can't imagine their dynamic at all, you know? I don't know. I mean, like, and what little I can is just, like, not, I don't know. Jane Rose. No, that's staying in D tier. Curlos Rufio. Solix Kanaya. I guess I'll put that in C tier. It's fine. Grand Highblood. Red Glare, I'll put in C tier. Grand Highblood Karkat. Grand Highblood Tavros. Jade Tavros. And Damara. Porm Damara is D tier. And then an F tier, all alone, is Dolorosa Dual Scar. I think that's good. I think I'm happy where this has ended up. I think there just are a surprising amount of these that I thought would be higher, but maybe there's just more fan discussion and fan art and stuff that just doesn't get uploaded to AO3 quite as much. Like, even though AO3, you can put your meta on there and you can put your art on there, it's just people more use it for fics, and I guess people don't write as many fics about some of these pairings, or I don't know. But yeah, that is it. I'm hoping next week we'll have the episode with not next week, but in 2 weeks we'll have the episode with Dami, and then in January we'll be getting back into Homestuck. I guess I'll just say there's a slight chance that if I don't have the episode with Dami for 2 weeks out, then I'm just going to assume that is just holiday stuff, because that is going to be the 2nd. January 2nd is when the next one is due. So holiday stuff just might get too busy, so there's a chance we might skip it. Or there's a chance I'm just going to make 100 more ships and just put this out here until y'all are extremely tired of me talking about ships as they get more and more niche. But I was kind of surprised at how much I had to say about some of these that I hadn't really thought about before, so who knows? We'll see what happens. But thank you all for listening and or watching, and hopefully I will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you to Dami for composing the theme song and editing the episode. You can find more of her work at soundcloud.com/dominothief. Shout out to our fakest fan tier supporters, Danny the Spoonlord and Tezrak. You can become a supporter and receive early episodes and bonus content for as little as $1 a month over at ko-fi.com/jaxyax, or simply give a one-time tip. For information on and links to my other projects, head over to jaxyax.com. Thanks again for listening.